Hello everyone, Carol here at Oak House Journals. Some of you may have noticed, and I know my lovely friend Amy has noticed and mentioned it to me. Hello Amy. She's mentioned that I have not posted a video for prompt number 5 or day 5 of the Junk Journal January 2024 series. Now the prompt for that day was daily log, and the reason that I haven't posted a video for that until now is because I really didn't have an idea of what I could do or create in my journal to hit that prompt. But then I spotted something that my lovely friend Kimberley in America over at PinkTabbiePaperie sent me a good while ago, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at making that and it will hit my prompt for daily log perfectly. So what I've done there, or what you've seen me do previously on the video there, is to take some very lightweight cardstock in cream and cut it to a size slightly smaller in height than my journal, but wider than the width of my journal. And I've chosen lightweight cardstock because, as you can see here, I'm choosing papers that I will cover those pieces of lightweight cream coloured cardstock with. So I'm just going through some paper pieces here. These all came out of a pack that I was given for Christmas a couple of years ago and hardly used. So as you can see, there's mixed papers in there, plain coloured papers, and then some that look like faux vintage documents. So I've lifted out 3-4 pages there to cover my pieces with, and that's my 5th page. Those vintage receipts are slightly shorter than my page, or not as wide as my page, but I don't mind because I'm going to go in and I'm going to be collaging over the top. So here I'm just gluing those pages that I've chosen in place on my lightweight cardstock, and I go all the way through doing that on each of them. Here they are all done, and I've lifted out another receipt or another piece to collage on the top, just trimming that to size and gluing it on. So that is my second layer on this one, trimming away the excess. And then I go in with some washi tape, and I use a strip of this on all of the pieces to try and keep some cohesion between the 5 pieces. So that washi tape was covering up that gap on the left hand side there, and I've just added a piece on the bottom. So that's the first one done. Looking for another piece that I can use on this second page. Decide I like this one better. So going in with, again, my guillotine and trimming it away to size. Just ripping away the bottom. Just positioning it more or less in the same place. This time I use a whole strip of the washi. Another receipt. So I've sped up the camera, as you can see here, because I don't want to bore you with all the little intricacies of how I decorated each of these pieces. But suffice it to say, I used various paper pieces that I've got in my stash. I use labels, I use stamps, and I use that washi, as you can see. So just going through, building up some layers, building up some interest, but I try not to put too much down the right hand side of these pieces of card, because I will be chopping away a good portion down that side in due course. So here, as you can see, just building up my layers, using bits and bobs in my stash wherever possible. So I'm going in here with some labels. Some are blank, some are printables from Tracy Fox, some are old pharmacy labels, as you can see. So I've got a good old variety to use, and I'm just popping them randomly on each of these 5 pieces where I think they will look nice. Here I'm going in with some stickers to try and give me a little bit of focal elements on each piece. So this was, the first one was a sticker. This is just a little image I had. This is another sticker. And I'm trying to use these towards the top third of my piece. And here I'm just going in with some vintage stamps, dotting them around my cards. Some of the images from the first faux pages I used had imprints of stamps on them, but I've stuck, or I am sticking, stamps over the top of those to add dimension to each one. So here's my 5 cards done. Just very simple collaging. So now that's done, I want to create some tabs down that right hand side of each card. So I'm just using my craft mat here to measure out 3 centimeters for the width of each tab, and to have it about a depth of 1 centimeter. So just marking out my first one there, going on to my second one, and I just do this all the way down each of the cards using my ruler and a pencil, and then I go in with my X-Acto knife and I chop away the excess card on either side of each tab, and that's what I'm doing here, just chopping away the excess. I've already chopped away the bottom and just easing this one out. So there we go, that's a tab on the 4th one. So here they are, they've all been cut out. I have 5 cards and I have 5 tabs. So I'm now deciding that I want to round off the edges of each of those tabs, but unfortunately they wouldn't fit in any of the punches or corner rounders that I have. So I've made myself a little template here using my handheld manual corner rounder, and I'm going in now with a pair of scissors and just trimming round those corners. So that's the first one, and I go in and do that on all of them. There we go, that's all 5 done. And now just to add some interest around the page and to frame it a little bit, or interest around each card, just going in with Vintage Photo Distress ink and a blending tool. Having done that, I decide that I actually want to corner round that top left hand corner, so I go in doing that using my corner rounder, and obviously having done that I have to go back in and just use Vintage Photo to go over that corner. Here I've got a packet of decorative vellum pieces. Now I already had a packet of these in my stash, but I was lucky enough to get another packet last Christmas, the Christmas that's just gone, so I decided I'm going to use 5 of these and decorate the bottom of each of my cards. So here I'm just turning a 5mm border along the long edge of one of the pieces of vellum. I do the same on the other side. So that's going to be the top of my pocket on that particular card. And then here I am turning another 5mm flap. And this will be a flap that goes to the reverse of the card. There we go. And then I'm just turning over a flap on either side so that my vellum pockets sit snugly around my card, just reinforcing the side folds. Now this is quite thin vellum, so I was having to be a little bit careful with it. And there you go, I'm just popping it round, making sure everything's sitting nicely. Now here you can see I've obviously got a tab at the bottom of my card. And how I dealt with that was to cut away the vellum in front of the tab. So here I'm just marking where I need to cut, going in with my scissors, just chopping away where the tab is, folding the rest in that will wrap around my card. So there we go. So just holding it in place, and there we go, that's the last the last bit. So here I've just going round gluing all my vellum flaps in place. I'm not putting any glue on the front underneath the vellum in front of the tab, for the simple reason that I will be going in and stitching, so I don't have to do that. Here I'm just adding Vintage Photo Distress ink around the edges of the vellum pockets so that it matches the rest of the card, and here I'm bringing them in because I've stitched around all of these on my sewing machine with a couple of rows of stitches. Sorry, a couple of lines of stitches. And obviously, as I say, that will hold the vellum in place where it hasn't been wrapped round to the reverse. So just flattening those stitches as I always do. So here I've lifted out some vintage ledger pieces that are blank on the reverse, and I'm going to use these to back each of my cards. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is or these cards are supposed to be a daily log, and I thought that I would need something first off to hide the stitches on the reverse and the vellum flaps on the reverse that I've glued there, but also to provide somewhere where I can actually write whatever I want to write if I was using this as a daily log. So as you can see, I'm just going in with the blank ledger sheets, giving it a good burnish, and then just using my scissors to trim the excess away and to trim round that top left hand corner that I've rounded. And there we go, that's all of them backed, and going in here with, again, Vintage Photo Distress ink just to add some interest on the back, because I've done the same thing on the front. So there they are, all done. So now I'm needing to make a closure of some sort for these cards or this daily log. So I'm using a couple of bulldog clips here to hold everything neat and tidy and together. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to go in with my crocodile and punch a hole in that top left hand rounded corner all in one go. So I've punched the hole. Here I'm going in with a hitch fastener of some sort. It's not one of the Ranger ones, it's just one I had in my stash, and it was a little bit stiff, so I'm obviously having to use my pliers and a Phillips screwdriver. So I've screwed it in place, and here I've just made some little words that I can put on my tabs, and I've just printed them out on my computer using the same lightweight cream coloured cardstock that formed the base of my original cards. And again, to tie them in, I'm using a little bit of Vintage Photo just to ink round the edges before I go in and glue them in place. And here I am gluing them in place on each of the tabs. So that's my fourth one going into place there, and that's my fifth one. So here I'm just popping in some little pieces of ephemera in each of the pockets, because if this was a daily log that I was using, I would write on the back, but I would obviously like to keep other bits and bobs that I come across in my day. So it might be a receipt or it might be a label. This is a photo of a mushroom, Kodak photo, and then some other little ephemera pieces. So there we are, all tucked away in the pocket, and it all swivels shut, and I can write on the back. So this is a little bit chunky, even though I used thin cardstock and paper to cover it, but it still fits in the pocket that I intended something for this prompt to go in. It is catching a little bit with that hitch fastener style closure, but it does work if I'm just a little bit careful with it and ease it in. And doesn't make my pocket too chunky. And this is what I wrote on each of the tabs. So I didn't want to write the days of the week, I just wanted to write today, tomorrow and the day after, and yesterday and the day before. So I'll leave you now with some close-up photos showing you each of the collage cards with the ephemera pieces in the pockets and also with the ephemera pieces taken out. So thank you so much as always everybody for watching. I do appreciate your company and I certainly appreciate your comments. A big shout out to my friend Kimberley for giving me the inspiration and the idea for today's prompt. Until the next video everybody, take care. Bye-bye now.